friends and you want her to hang around, watch sports with you and all that stuff, dude, she's gonna be all about that. You gotta watch out though, because she does like to admire some muscles.
ダメよ、男の人の裸なんて年頃の女の子が見ちゃダメ。見ちゃダメ。なんて素敵な超安寸闘技。
Number 4, I'm going to go with Sophie from Howl's Moving Castle. She's not necessarily a conventional beauty, but she is definitely a gorgeous girl, very low maintenance. She's not going to break the bank with a bunch of makeup and stuff like that. But I really admire her bravery in the face of danger and the fact that she is determined to get what she wants. But on top of that, she's just a very caring person and she cares about doing what's right. Number 3, I've got to go with Mikasa Ackerman. She may not be the most sweet, affectionate person in the world, but she is independent. She's pretty amazing. And also, you ain't got to worry about nothing because she can protect you from anything. She's strong, she's determined, and she's just overall awesome. Number 2, I've got to go with Asuna from Sword Art Online. Apart from being just absolutely stunning, she is the sweetest. Man, she's strong like a lot of the characters mentioned here, but she is sweet and she's caring and she's bubbly. And dude, who wouldn't want this girl as a waifu? She's perfect.
Kirito-kun, Yui-chan wo onegai.
Ah.
Number 1, I've got to go with Gasai. While she would not be a good real-life waifu because of her crazy antics, she is just an amazing pick for a fake waifu because when it comes to devotion, she will be the most devoted, psycho, clingy, crazy waifu that you could possibly find. Not only that, but she is freaking adorable. So there you go. Number 1 waifu, Gasai. I freaking love her, man. It's all of her psycho self. Man, she's the best.
今日はゆいちゃんの好きなビーフシチューだよ。いっぱい食べてね。はい。
So there you have it, my top 5 anime waifus. Of course, I could go on and on about all kinds of different waifus and husbandos and stuff like that, which I do want to make a part 2 and talk about my top 5 favorite husbandos. But in the meantime, let me know in the comments.
Loved the movie, but it was not a perfect movie, but it didn't need to be because it's a Star Wars side story. And I think at one point we're going to have a lot of these movies and they're all going to be kind of different. This was more of a dry, kind of more serious, kind of somewhat depressing war movie, like a bittersweet movie. It doesn't have a lot of the fun that, in my opinion, that like Force Awakens had, or even like Empire and Star Wars. It's missing like that Han Solo character, but it does have K2SO, the droid, to hit us with the witty jokes and whatnot. Now, the other thing about this movie that I thought was not good, okay, one of the things that I'm starting to notice with both this film and Force Awakens that I think needs to be rectified going forward is that they're relying too much on nostalgia pops. And what I mean by that is this. I was watching the movie and I was enjoying the story. I was liking the film. The characters are okay. But as I'm watching the movie, I'm waiting for more Vader, more Tarkin, more stuff that I recognize. And that's not a good thing when it comes to a film. You don't want to make a movie to where the whole thing is based on watching the other movie. So if you watch this movie and you've never seen Star Wars, you've never seen any of the other movies, especially the first Star Wars and especially Revenge of the Sith, the pops and the Easter eggs that are there for you, you're not going to understand it. You're just not going to get it. But I don't think that's fair to criticize the film because you're supposed to know that going in. It's called Star Wars Rogue One or Rogue One, a Star Wars story. You should already know what Star Wars is and be familiar with it before watching this film. I know some critics will sit there and they'll say, well, this is made more so for the fans, and I respect that completely, but the answer is yes, it is totally made for the fans. You can't go into this movie expecting it, to be filled in on everything. There's not even an opening crawl. Like, you just don't know anything. You have to know going in. That's bad. It is a bad thing, but it's something to be expected. However, that being said, one thing that does concern me is that I did find the nostalgia stuff far more interesting than the actual story. The story was good, it wasn't great. The Jyn Erso, Galen Erso stuff was good. I didn't think it was great. The action sequences, though, especially the last, like, 30 minutes of the movie, are absolutely insane. So we got to get to some stuff here and talk about specifically what I liked and did not like. And the crawl thing at the beginning of the film does bug me. I'm not going to lie. This movie needed a crawl to explain to the people who Krennic and who Galen Erso is. I thought the relationship between Galen and Jyn was amazing. And also between Jyn and Saul Guerrera. That was great stuff. Forrest Whitaker, I mean, that character's kind of weird, but I did like it. Director Krennic is definitely the main villain of this film. Like, Krennic is the main villain, and Jyn Erso is the main babyface, the main good person, right? That's how it is. But the real impact with the audience was the appearances of the nostalgia characters. We're going to get into it right now. Grand Moff Tarkin has more screen time than Vader. Vader, of course, is in the film. And then we have, of course, Leia, which is a big surprise to me. Not to mention they also had Jimmy Smith. There were little references to the other movies where, again, if you haven't seen the other movies, it's not going to make any sense to you. This is not a gateway movie. Jimmy Smits, portraying Bail Organa, mentions Obi-Wan Kenobi. They talk about, the Jedi being, oh, he's in hiding and all that. Could be Yoda, but I think it's talking about Obi-Wan. Mon Mothma's appearance saying, oh, who can you trust with the plans? And he's like, oh, I trust him with my life. And it's, of course, Leia. We see a CGI model of a young Carrie Fisher at the very end of the movie saying hope, which was a great, like I said, the theme of the movie was hope, and I thought it really nailed that. I thought it nailed that perfectly. But I also thought it was, like, again, a lot of the nostalgia pops. Also, Vader, okay, Vader stuff is what really had me marking out, dude. But again, I'm a Star Wars fan, so I can say that. They go to Mustafar. Director Krennic goes to Mustafar, and and that's the planet where Obi-Wan and Vader had their duel at, where Obi-Wan cut off his limbs. And you see the castle Vader built there, and you actually see Vader out of his suit in a Bacta tank. Now, I had broke some spoilers a couple weeks ago on this channel, about a week ago, about Vader's role in the movie, and I was right, but I was also wrong, or at least the information I had was right. What I mean by that is this: he only has 2 scenes in the movie, but those 2 scenes, okay, first of all, it's badass. It's Vader, James Earl Jones, the winning combination. Just seeing him on the screen, his entrance when the fucking doors open and you see him walking, huge round of applause in the theater, dude. Like, it was just so epic. And his conversation with Krennic, and then later on in the film, the part that had me I watched this part like so many times because it leaked on the internet. This scene of Vader slicing through the rebellion, slaughtering people. This is what we want to see from Vader. Darth Vader fans, Star Wars fans, I know some of them are salty that Vader only got, like, I don't know, 6 minutes of screen time, but every scene he was in stole the movie. Just when he picks up the fucking, he's fighting these dudes with lightsaber. He's blocking, like, there's like fucking, like 8 fucking rebellion guys blasting at him. He's blocking all this shit. He's throwing dudes around, choking them, fucking cutting guys in half, decapitating them. If you like that kind of shit, if you've been waiting for Vader to be a badass, you got it. In this movie, you got it. And I loved it so much. It did rely a lot on nostalgia, but I popped so much. Gold leaders in the movie, 3PO and Arturo in the movie. Lots of references to episode 4 and 3 and 4. Because it was the bridge between the 2 movies. And I loved it as a Star Wars fan. This movie is made for Star Wars fans. Like, that's pretty much the big important thing, is the more hardcore of a fan you are, the more you'll probably like this movie. The casual moviegoer looking for action, you're going to get action. And the action scenes were great, but it's not going to really hit you as much emotionally as if you are a Star Wars fan and if you're immersed in this universe. Jyn Erso by herself and the Death Star plans, I thought the story was good. Like, the whole idea of, like, a heist story where you have a group of people going into a location to get something, and some may make it, some may not, or hunting something, is always a great movie. A good example is Predator, Aliens, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, tons of war movies do this. These are things that I like, and I knew this movie would be like that. Special effects-wise, I mean, it looked great. The space battles. Dude, that scene where the 2 Star Destroyers crashed into each other, we've never seen anything like that in a Star Wars movie. Just fucking nuts, man. Just fucking nuts. And I love that sequence. The scene where the Death Star Brave blows up the city on Jeddah was pretty damn epic. Just everything was very, very epic in the film. It was very, very grandiose and very realistic in a way, very gritty. It's that gritty Star Wars universe, and it takes place literally minutes before A New Hope. So I mean, there is that, that aspect of it. And like I said, I love movies that are like that. Overall, the Galen Erso story really is expounded upon more in Catalyst. This movie is just a piece of the puzzle, and I don't think it's fair to really judge it on its own, even though I kind of have to. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not giving you guys the full picture. Like, it's part of the Star Wars story. It's a Star Wars spin-off. You have to know Star Wars, but if you judge it on its own, it's still a decent story with great action sequences and really some fun characters. But really, it being Star Wars is what carries this movie to me. It really is. Vader was such a badass. Tarkin, the guy who did Tarkin's voice, somehow managed to match Peter Cushing. It's getting creepy. It's getting creepy that these movies are now bringing actors back to life that have been dead for years. I don't really understand how in the hell they were able to pull that one off. Now, unlike Force Awakens, there are really no unanswered questions here. Like every, spoiler alert, like I said, spoiler review, everybody dies, including Jyn Erso. They make you think that at the end she's gonna survive, but then you see how big the explosion is, she dies. Pretty much everybody who's not in A New Hope is pretty much dead, and it's kind of mind-boggling to think about, that's what happens. But all the main characters pretty much bite it. K2SO died. It was kind of a bummer because I like that character, but all the characters, but Jyn Erso, the whole thing was she had to accomplish the goal that her father did, and one thing I love is the fact that Galen Erso was pretty much forced to work on this doomsday device, the Death Star, and yet he still managed to purposely create that flaw, that hole that allowed the rebellion and Luke Skywalker to destroy the Death Star in the first Star Wars movie. He put that in there on purpose to give the Empire and Krennic a big fuck you. Now, speaking of Krennic, the actor who portrayed Krennic was Ben Mendelsohn, and he did good, but I thought he was a little too, I'm an angry space Nazi white guy type of character. He had that whole, kind of a mixture of, Hux and Tarkin. I guess everybody in the Empire's like that. Just your typical, I'm not cool like Vader and the Emperor. I don't have cool lines like Tarkin does. I'm just a guy who is looking to get this, who's power hungry. That's pretty much his character. But it was one of those things where I didn't hate it. It was just somewhat generic, to be honest. That's my opinion on that. Also, there was tons of lore that was explored here too, which I really love. They mentioned for the first time in an actual movie, they mentioned Kyber crystals, and they talked about how the Death Star cannon, the Death Star planet destroyer, is made from Kyber crystals that they were harvesting on Jeddah. And I love the scene where Krennic goes to see Vader, and Vader's talking about, don't worry, the Senate head knows nothing about the Death Star. Because the whole thing about the Death Star is that it was built in secret. This is explored a lot more in Catalyst. The Death Star was built in secret. Nobody even knew what it was until this film, until the events of Rogue One or Star Wars. They were hiding it from a lot of people, so they don't want the Empire, they don't want the galaxy to assume that they have this planet-destroying weapon, because as a result of it, some more systems and planets are going to end up leaving the Empire and joining the rebellion, because having a weapon that powerful could be seen as an act of terror. Because remember, guys, a lot of planets in the galaxy are for the Empire. They've been tricked and lied to for many years by Palpatine into thinking, the bureaucrats, just like in the real world, they think that the Empire is a good thing when it really isn't. So they have to build this thing in secret and then kind of create somewhat of a false flag to make people think that it's necessary. That's kind of, I'm not going to go into conspiracies, but a lot of conspiracy theorists believe that certain nations have done that throughout the course of history. Same thing here, and if you look at the prequels, Palpatine did the same thing. He created the Separatists as a false flag, controlled both sides in order to create the clone army, which would eventually kill off the Jedi, and pretty much guarantee and full control. But the whole thing was, it definitely glanced over in this film, the idea of it being a secret project, and the space battle at the end of the movie was unbelievable. I felt it was incredible. I thought that really, like I said, I don't know what you guys think. I want to know your comments, but the last 15 minutes of the movie, maybe 20 minutes, was amazing. There was the break-in, there was the fight on the beach. I'll be honest, the fight on the beach with the AT-ATs was a little bit disappointing. There was some cool stuff. The space battle was incredible, and of course Vader showing up and chopping dudes up was just it was a dream come true for me. It really was. I enjoyed this movie. Looking at it, comparing it to Force Awakens, I was much more emotionally invested in Force Awakens. I was emotional in this movie, but in that movie it really grabbed my heart. This one didn't grab it too much, to be honest, but the scene with Vader at the end was just, oh man, like it was so badass, man. I wanna watch that part over and over again. Just incredible stuff. So I like the movie. I don't think it's as good as Force Awakens, but it definitely belongs in the Star Wars universe. I think it's safe to say that if you're a Star Wars fan, you need to see this movie. I mean, I don't see why you should have already seen it if you're watching this review, because I want to know what you liked and did not like about the movie. Let me know what you thought. Did you think the characters were one-dimensional? I've seen that. I thought some of them were, but K2SO and Donnie Yen, I thought they were the best. I thought, Chirrut and K2SO were awesome. Diego Luna as Cassian Andor was great. Felicity Jones was okay as Jyn Erso. She had kind of that deer in the headlights look in a few scenes here and there, but it was still, good. And of course, the direction from Gareth Edwards, very different, very unique way he did this movie, but it's supposed to be a separate movie. It's supposed to be its own story, and I kind of like that. I thought it was fine. Again, just too many nostalgia pops maybe, but it's still, again, can't criticize it because it's Star Wars, dude, and it's supposed to be for the Star Wars fan. If you don't know the universe, you might not enjoy it and know what the hell's going on. So the more you enjoy Star Wars, the more you'll enjoy this movie. That's my opinion. If you're looking for something more lighthearted and fun, I would stick with, maybe some of the Clone Wars episodes, maybe some of the older trilogy movies, The Force Awakens. This movie was dark as hell, very sad. Everyone fucking dies. It's expected, but also, still sad. So thank you for checking out my spoiler review of Rogue One. I know we're going to have a lot more to talk about in the future for this film. And I say, fuck it, bro. Bring on Episode 8. Some people were saying that they don't like the fact there's too many Star Wars movies. They think that one a year is too much. No, one a year is perfect. And maybe two a year on some years. Not every year. On some years, I would be okay with that. I just want more Star Wars, dude. And you know what? As much as I love watching Rebels and reading the books and comics, nothing compares to seeing Vader kicking ass on the big screen. It's not going to be the same. There's just something about that. Seeing it with the crowd, hearing them cheer, seeing him kick ass, it's just very special. Very, very special for a lifelong Star Wars fan. Thank you. Talk to you guys later.
Your terror has been cut down. Night falls.
Today on our show, we saw Rogue One! That's right, now we're going to talk about it in a very spoilerific review. We are with the Force, and the Force is with us. Today on Fat Man on Batman. Welcome to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Mark Bernard.
Oh my lord. We're going to review the fuck out of Rogue One.
A Star Wars story.
Thank you. Well, they didn't put that on the screen. On the movie I saw, Mark Bernard, and I saw the same movie with you. It says, oh, you're in the lady right now. It said Rogue One. It never said a Star Wars story.
That's true.
This is an interesting insight to a movie. We got lots more. We're going to fucking dump it all over you. So, if you don't want the movie spoiled, then trust me, you don't.
No.
I went in pretty clean other than the trailer, and there's a review coming where you're probably going to see one of us coming.
Most likely.
But first, segue, we're going to talk about what holds in all that junk.
What keeps your junk nice and tight?
That's right. But man junk or lady junk. We're talking about sponsors today, folks. MeUndies.com, the pirate website where you buy your underpants. MeUndies.com has this brilliant deal where you join up and they send you what? How many pair of new underwear?
So for like the price of 2 cocktails,
Yeah.
you get to have like 5 or 6 pairs of underwear. Something to
2
that
cocktails
effect.
at Denny's, probably. We're not even talking like high end. I went to Dolly Parton and the cocktails were $40.
Yeah, not like top shelf, like we're partying with Kanye cocktails. No, like
Well, vodka. Point is, it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
They'll send you underwear. Isn't that amazing? They'll send you underwear. Here's the thing. You never think about going to buy underwear. When you do, you're like, You don't have to ever again. They literally send you a box of underwear. Yeah. I don't know. I don't need to put the S on. That's good.
I like living a life where the shit that I need comes to my house.
You never knew you needed this until it happens to you. It's crazy. They send you a box of underwear, and there's all different designs. Like I don't know where they get this much fucking fabric, and it's crazy. Like you could wear dinosaurs, you could wear moons, you could wear it's only a second before they're like, hey, here's the new Batman themed underwear. I bet, but that's not happened yet. You don't even need Batman. They send you so many different styles of underwear. They will drown you in underwear, and if you're a fetishist. How the fuck are you not signed up for this?
And the fabric.
Oh, it's good fabric. It's
good
stretchy.
fabric.
It's got a name. I don't know
Modal.
what it is. Modal.
Either way, but it's like superhero costume fabric. Like imagine if you wore a bodysuit of this shit.
If you watched the Spider-Man trailer and you were like, what's it like to put your fucking dick in that outfit?
I see you've
That's
survived
what this
another
material
night.
feels like.
How
Webs everywhere.
wonderful
Yeah, you've been
for
shooting
you.
webs for sure, man, but nobody's gonna know because you're wearing MeUndies, which you can get at MeUndies.com, man. Listen to this. For a limited time, everyone in the audience
Your
gets
enemy
20% off the first order, but you have to go to our special rule, MeUndies.com/fat. Man, and here's the thing: you try them on. If they aren't the most comfortable, best-feeling undies that you've ever put in your fucking shit into,
What are they gonna do?
they're gonna refund you. Wait for it, and let you keep the first pair for free.
Holy shit,
Isn't that
dude.
crazy? So you put on your pair and you're like, I don't like this, which means you don't like this. They send you like a box full every month. You put on that pair and you're like, I don't like these. MeUndies is like, you know what? We tried. You've been awesome. Have a good one. And off you go. But you keep one pair of fucking undies. So you're always thinking, would I let that one go? Is that the one I don't know?
I also probably would do cleanliness.
I don't want to wash your fucking get yourself a pair of undies that you have to throw out and figure out you're one of those people. It's amazing what they offer.
Yes.
Maybe I'm gonna watch it. This is
Or Spider-Man.
fucking smart, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's amazing.
Or Rogue One, which you're gonna find out.
Such a weak
But this is
flesh.
like you never
Better
knew
to
you
be
needed this
honest.
until all of a sudden it happened. You're like, oh, do it. They sent me a bunch of fucking underwear, and I've been wearing the shit. One color, one brand, man.
Were you?
Yeah. Now a variety. My wife is like, fucking you now is like fucking a cartoon. And she's been saying that for 18 years. But now she says because the undies are very nice.
They are very comfortable.
And let's say you wanted to be this person, and you're like, I just want to have surplus underwear for every time I meet somebody and stuff. Hook up,
Excellent.
as the kids say.
Your enemy's
You could
terror
leave a
is
little
but
piece of
ours.
yourself behind. Leave your MeUndies behind. Don't matter. You've got 28 more pair waiting for you.
You could be like the Zorro of MeUndies and just scratch a Z into MeUndies. He was here.
Could you imagine that? And some woman holding on, or man holding on to your, let's be honest, holding on to your pants. Who was that? Anonymous
junk.
fuck. I don't know, but he or she left this
Was he the
golden bullet.
Scarlet Pimpernel?
Oh my lord. Think of the romance. That's just the practical side. Everyone always tells you the practical. Me and Mark were selling romance. You'll have enough underpants to leave around town. Leave your genetics and DNA all over this great country.
Like a calling
Night
card of
falls
awesome
once
sex
more.
crime.
When I
Soon
lose
No.
the shamblers shall rise
when
again.
I lose my underwear on the road, I go crazy because I'm a fucking fat guy. They don't sell my underwear everywhere, and so I get really fucking nervous and shit. I'm down to 3 pair in 4 days. What am I gonna do? Don't worry about it. MeUndies, I pack a whole fucking bag of underpants, and on the road I give them out. On stage, I'm like, ching.
Like Tom Jones, but
There
the
it
other
is.
way.
People are like, ew. They all let it drop in the middle of the floor, and then a custodian comes out, picks it up and gloves.
You like the Punisher with a MeUndies cannon.
Who wants underpants that I've worn once and washed? It's crazy. MeUndies.com, man. Go to MeUndies.com/fatman. They're going to give you a fucking 20%. All right, now we're going to talk about Rogue One. MeUndies.com.
Yeah.
Rogue One. Look, here, I'm going to lay this in. I went in, me and Mark got to go to the premiere that they had. It was a stunning premiere that they held on Hollywood Boulevard at the Pantages Theater, which is not traditionally a movie theater in Los Angeles.
No, it's usually where the show. Yeah, The King and I and Hamilton will be there next year.
That's where I saw it. And I think I saw Book of Mormon? Yeah, I saw Book of Mormon. So they did a movie. Who knows why? But boy, they took off 3 blocks of
Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood Boulevard, expensive. This fucking party costs $100 a
The infested will return again.
They put up props, and a giant fucking X-wing in the middle of the street. Yes, I went upstairs in the party afterwards. There was a fucking TIE fighter where the bar was built around it and stuff. You saw the costumes, you saw like a huge display just to get into the movie. But that, you know, we're jaded fucking Angelinos now, folks. He cares. Oh yeah. So you can't buy our opinion off of like, look at this big gaudy party. Because we're adults. All we think about is like, all of this is expensive. How much does it cost to shut down this many blocks in Hollywood? You can maybe spend some Christmas balls. I don't know. Don't say that. Or you just sit there going, why would anyone do this, especially considering nobody's going like, now what is this new Star Wars movie? I need to be educated. Like, they don't need to buy publicity. Everyone's already waiting to go.
It's like, yeah, I was not going to go, but you threw a giant party that I didn't get to go to. So, yay!
So that's the mindset. Just to lay it out there so you don't think like they bought them trinkets. They bought them with Death Star cupcakes. Not at all. They got Death Star cupcakes there. We walked into that movie unscathed. You know, not like I dare you to fucking be entertained. But you know, Star Wars, lifelong Star Wars. And you know, there have been moments where I wouldn't say you felt burned, but you're like, well, you know, it's not Star Wars, I guess, or it's not Empire. But Empire is a high bar. Empire Strikes Back for me is the pinnacle of all Star Wars achievements. Still remains so. So it's a very high bar for any movie to kind of reach, and you accept the fact that they can't all be Empire and stuff. Hell, even Return of the Jedi wasn't Empire. So, you know, you go in with like, oh, just take me back to my childhood. And in this movie experience, I expected to go in and enjoy it. I wasn't sitting there going, this is my jam, I can't wait. I was like, right on.
Star Wars.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Tell that story, man. Like the story of how they got the planet.
And there was also a little bit of tarnish, I think, going in, like the news reports out of the film. Tony Gilroy, the screenwriter who had done Michael Clayton and a couple of Bourne movies. It's a great movie, like, and this dude is absolutely top notch. But he'd been brought in at great expense. He spared no expense to come in and work on the script, and some reports have him both like on the set doing some stuff, in the edit bay, absolutely refashioning the tail end of the movie.
That was part of the story in advance of seeing the movie. So right away, you're like, okay.
Are you ready for some
now I'm like, you know, I'm going to lower my expectations a little more because apparently, you know, they Frankensteined it or whatever.
Trouble
It needed
reshoots.
You hear something like that, and you're like, ah. This felt like, okay, this will hold the place until Saga begins next year again with episode 7 with Jacob. Now we have episode 8. So this felt like, okay, like in a world of lesser Star Wars films, this is the first.
Right, like if we're getting 2 Marvel movies a year, they're not all going to be Avengers movies. There's got to be some stuff in the middle to just get you there. This was going to be that. Like, fucking Rogue One, sure, I'll go. It'll be a lot. Star Wars, it'll be ships, and I'll hear sounds that are familiar to me, and I will just get my little fix.
Look, we knew it would be entertaining, to say the least. Like, this is Disney, there's so much going for this movie and against it in some ways. They're following The Force Awakens, the highest grossing domestic film of all time. Restarting the Star Wars engine in a big bad way. George Lucas technically restarted it with prequels,
Let my terror
Force Awakens, holy shit. Everyone was back on the Star Wars train.
dawns.
So, you know, they knew there's a standard to keep up. They knew everyone wasn't expecting Force Awakens, but we knew we'd get a good Star Wars.
But your enemy.
Would we get one for the ages, or is this going to be more like, you know, it's like all the Star Wars movies, Rogue One, and then the Ewok Adventure on TV. You know, like sliding scale. We're like, it's a Star Wars movie. They call it a Star Wars story. So again, not saying like my expectations were in the toilet. I knew it's Disney, is Lucasfilms, their second time up bat with the franchise. You knew they were going to go for it. There's a lot of preamble, and you know where this is going. you can tell it. You knew it'd be good. At surface. Captain Kennedy was the most successful producer in the history of motion. Go at the box office. Go back and tally it all up. Captain Kennedy beats like beats everybody up. Wrong. And then the event, like all the people involved, and Gareth, the director, is the boy who did Monsters, right? Yes. Indie filmmaker, Godzilla. Monsters is a movie where he went to places where like tropical storms wrecked, the neighborhood. Yeah. And shot it, and then built a story going like the monsters came through here, so it looked like a disaster movie, and then had a few big monster effects, but very minimal, kind of like echoed in that Godzilla movie where it's like a lot of shit going on, and then you see Godzilla for like.
It was very contained. I think it was a story about a guy who's got to go south of the border, where it's like the demilitarized zone of monsters roaming loose in Mexico, and to retrieve a woman whose father had hired him. So it was a very
far more attention than I did, but
so it's like a simple road movie where it's like, go there, get the person, come back. But there are monsters in like the back of the front. It's always hanging over the movie. Holy shit, a monster can just run through and crush our dreams.
An indie film that like acted like a big budget. Did come from indie film. So Godzilla clearly knows how to handle a big budget movie. So you knew you were going to get a good flick. It's not like they're just giving these Star Wars movies, but you knew you were going to get pretty wonderfully watched.
There was a filmmaker at work. Whether the filmmaker was ready for Star Wars is the other question. This guy did one movie, tiny. One movie, a little bit bigger. You barely saw Godzilla. Here's another movie, the third movie. He goes to Star Wars. Was the trajectory too high? Was it too steep?
Could he stick the landing? Could there be a landing? Was he going to fall and break his bones? Like, what was this going to be? It was beyond. It was fantastic. It was amazing. I mean, again, like maybe my bar wasn't high, but it wasn't in the shitter either. I expected something. I did not expect this movie. They have not prepared us for what this movie is. They're not, I wouldn't say they're hiding what this movie is, but like this movie is fan-fucking-tastic. This movie, Rogue One, I said it on my Twitter and on Instagram right after. It's Empire Strikes Back good. That's the highest fucking bar. Like, it's crazy fucking good. And there is more wars in this Star Wars movie than in any Star Wars movie prior to this. You literally felt like, oh shit, there's insurgency, there's fucking like, there's rebellion. Like, you got it, man, in a big bad way.
Hey,